we are so happy to be back for another topic, another intimate conversations with Dr. T and Dr. T. And this one you're definitely not going to want to miss. Okay, so you guys, I was scrolling as I normally do because we got to engage in order to be engaged. And I came across a post where there was basically a woman who was wearing sanitary napkins in a very obvious way. And it raised the question whether or not should we be normalizing conversations when it comes to women's reproductive function. So should we be having normal conversations about menstrual cycles? Should we still be separating on talking privately or trying to hide the fact that we're on our cycle? Or should we be boldly talking about these topics? I mean, we're in 2022 and the menstrual cycle is clearly how we all got here. Without her, none of us would exist. Okay. Even when we use medications to help her, we still need her. Okay. And so why are these topics still so private? Why can't we have normal conversation across the dinner table like we do with any other topic? What do you think, Dr. Trista? What do you think about that? Are you ready to have conversations about the menstrual cycle over dinner?
Ready to have conversations about just about anything at any point in time. I can talk about it all. As a pelvic floor therapist, not a thing will bother me.
That part,
But
right?
I realize that yes, it is still very taboo to talk about a lot of subjects. I think that it is taboo to talk about things that involve women, period. Right? It is taboo. Not that I say that I think men are out there in a grand scale talking about, yeah, I was having a little problems with getting it up
I was
last
having an
night,
itch.
or even yeah, right. I don't think they necessarily are boldly proclaiming that because that may look like a negative on them, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But anything dealing with women seems to be taboo, and unfortunately, I think some of the people who propel the taboo of it are women.
Yes. Yes, there are still women who are very sensitive about these topics.
Now,
Why?
I am not a proponent of this free bleeding thing that I saw a couple months back,
Mm-hmm.
where folk were trying to make a statement. I think it was regarding the cost of menstrual care products and blah, 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 blah. So you had folk free bleeding on the subway. That I am not comfortable with. I would never attempt. That is a sanitary issue.
Yes, and
But
that's a public health issue, right? Because it's blood.
right, right.
Mm-hmm. That's a
Body
different
secretes,
story. I
right.
agree.
But there needs to be more openness. And literally, I know you're talking about like general conversation, but I'm even thinking about like the way the education goes. Why do we leave this education only up to be given to women? Like, why is this not talked about in households to all the members of the household? Like,
Right, right.
we're not even doing that. Like, women will not teach their sons anything about what happens during a menstrual cycle
That's a good
or
point.
whatever the case may be. So if we can't feel comfortable doing it across the dinner table, like you said, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think we'll get to the point where we can go to a grander scale. We
Mm-hmm.
would feel more comfortable talking about all the things that happened with our kid, all the times they had to go party, they had to go whatever, because that's something that we talk about commonly, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not talked about commonly in the home. And so it's not transitioning to being talked about anywhere else either.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I think that's kind of where we need to start. Um, and for those who don't know well enough, you know what? That's what education in the schools is supposed to help supplement some of that. But
Right.
I know there's this drive to not have sex ed or whatever they want to call it. It's health ed. It's a part of our life, our bodies. We need to know and understand our bodies so we can take better care of it. You need to know and understand what's happening so you can support your partner better, that
Right.
you can be of more of an assistance.
Right.
So I agree. It's not being talked about, but I think that a lot of it has to at least start at home and within that home
Why do we
setting.
think you are still so sensitive about this topic? I mean, it is literally a way of life. And granted, I may be a little bit different because I talk about these topics every day, every day, every day of my life,
All day,
all
all
day
day,
long, every day of
all
my
day.
life. So it's to me, it's no different than, I mean, I guess people are also sensitive about bowel function. They don't talk about their bowel function either, but we all
All
have to
day.
go. regularly.
all
We all have to go at least daily, maybe not daily, maybe every 1, 2 days, 3 days, whatever your pattern
should
is.
be good.
But
Should be
everybody's
good.
going at some frequency. But it just seems like these topics are still so taboo. But we talk about our hair, we talk about our nails, we talk about our skin. We're so free to talk about these other areas that are part of our regular daily function. But when it comes to our menstrual cycle, which is the key function to our very existence, and to your point, yes, I guess it is women related topics. But why are women also still so sensitive about talking about these topics? I mean, we all kind of know we all got a cycle for the most part. May not be always regular. Shout out to my regular queens out there. But we
Right,
all got
right,
some type of a cycle, right?
right.
And so it's not a secret that women have menstrual cycles. And so where should this conversation start? I personally think it should start at home, that we should start having home conversations. I like the point that you brought up about the fact that a lot of guys don't eat. Clearly, we learned in the latest political arena, we're not going to call names, but there seems to be a very clear understanding that folks don't really understand how the menstrual cycle, all women's reproductive organs work.
No.
So
And
perhaps
that's the
we can
problem.
combat a lot of our political issues if at
Exactly.
home you were having these conversations and educate some folks about how
All
our
of them.
menstrual cycle works.
All of them. All of them. From the big one to the little one. And sometimes
Basically,
the one menstruating. Sometimes the one menstruating needs some education as well. So
that's
that's why
very
we have
true.
platforms like these, folk, that you get some information on and you understand and you learn and you know. It's not for you to know everything, but it's for you to seek and learn, right?
Right,
If you don't understand something, you seek to understand. And
right.
as clinicians, our job is not just to prescribe, not just to give. Our job is to also educate and help this person manage their own selves. So we
Yes,
can't just sit there and be like, all right, well, just take this or just do these exercises or do what you want. To educate them and have them be able to know how to manage for themselves their own body, what their
yes,
body should do, what it shouldn't do. Right,
yes,
there's that need for that education, and then they can in turn around and educate their family. And if we have that education, we will take down half of the battle. But
right.
I think there also needs to be, and it's that generational shift. There are things that were always done in private, very much secretive in years gone by. And there needs to be this shift where it's not such a secret. I mean, we're not trying to talk about discussing topics that will make somebody physically sick because it's repulsive. Like if you're talking about vomiting and somebody's sensitive and they may feel like they want to vomit, we're not speaking about that, and we're
Mm-hmm,
not speaking about it like that. But in
mm-hmm.
terms of just the fact that this is something that happens regularly, this is something that
Right,
should be happening, and it's part of how we live. This is how we manage it. Some people have really an easy time, some people have a much harder time with it, because even some of those things that kind of blocks people's imaginations. Like, um, there's so many women who suffer with really, really, really bad, painful cycles. It
mm-hmm,
should be that way, but they don't even say anything. They're afraid to say anything because it's going to be looked upon badly by even other women. Oh, you're over exaggerating. Oh, you're just, there's just so much of this lack of understanding around it.
mm-hmm,
um and I think that the education is where we really need to get to, like starting within the home, educating, making sure the one who is menstruating is educated, and making sure that the information can be passed along to the family as a family, how it pertains to the family.
mm-hmm,
And then we may have more of a successful spread of it going beyond that. But once
mm-hmm,
it's, you know it may be something that takes, like you would say, as a generational shift, it may take some time to happen over time. But that would be, I think, the major starting place. I just
right,
think there's just such a lack of understanding
mm-hmm.
that it causes it to be taboo. When you don't understand something, you can fall for a lot of foolishness about it.
Yes, yes,
And so if they don't understand what it is and what's happening and why it's happening,
mm-hmm.
people can be swayed by their own crazy thoughts or other people's crazy thoughts regarding it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think, oftentimes, like, think about when we started our menstrual cycle. I would definitely say for myself, I felt shame was related to it because my family is a jokester, so they like to make joke and stuff like that. And it wasn't really celebratory. And I think we need to go back to the point where in our heritage, oftentimes these types of transitions were
Mm-hmm.
celebrated. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think we've lost that touch about it, where now we've because of societal changes and societal sort of cues about the woman's body and body
Mm-hmm.
positivity and all these other things that we're having to really work towards bringing back. um, our heritage is the fact that the menstrual cycle and the entrance into that time frame was
Mm-hmm.
celebratory. And I think when you celebrate such a rite of passage, that you have a better outlook on it and you're probably more free to talk about it. But when you kind of feel like it's a point of shame or embarrassment, especially depending, like if you got your cycle on the playground, you may not be feeling so happy, right? Because kids can be a little bit
Mm-hmm.
rude and torturesome
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit, demonic. but they
Boy,
can be kids can be mean.
yeah, they can be
And
very
depending
mean.
on what that experience is like, I think then propels people into having this particular perspective about their own bodies and their own menstrual cycles. And so if you had that introduction to that point in your life as something that was hidden or shameful, then you probably will end up being that person that won't talk about it later on in life or won't have these conversations. But I agree with you that I think if we were to celebrate this, then perhaps we would have a different perspective and be more open to having these conversations. But part of that may be the fact that menstrual cycles are starting earlier. So whereas women
Mm-hmm.
or girls were more mature to handle that transition, now especially we know that Black women are the only group that have had an actually statistically early onset of our menstrual cycle in the past several years. And perhaps that early onset of having something that is a mature experience when you are emotionally immature then
Mm-hmm.
leads to that uncomfortable feeling and that shame that can sometimes happen, on that embarrassment that sometimes can happen. Perhaps that's partly what's impacting our inability to have these conversations openly, is the fact that we started having our cycles a little bit on the early side. I did. I'm one of those girls that started having my menstrual cycle on the early side. And so I was not emotionally ready to handle the response of anybody knowing that I had started my cycle, because I couldn't even emotionally handle the response myself, because I knew that what it meant was that you were mature enough to have a kid. I knew that much about it. I knew that it meant that your body had matured. And I did
Mm-hmm.
not feel matured emotionally. I did not feel matured on that level from a relational level, right? I don't want dudes looking at me. I don't want to be bothered. I want to be studying. I don't want to be bothered with people looking at me in any particular sexual way. And when you grow up in the hood and your body matured at a certain level, you were sexualized. America sexualizes the young Black
Yep.
and Hispanic girl. And
Yeah.
so oftentimes when you feel that, leads to our feeling like it's something shameful because you are so over sexualized that it makes you feel uncomfortable with your body, which is
Yeah.
a normal I mean, your body is what it is. And it's
Right.
not our
Right.
fault that our body's matured. It is all the hormonal stuff we're exposed to, all the environmental issues that we're exposed to that matures
Right.
rapidly, and perhaps having to deal with psychological issues that are
Yeah.
beyond our age group. But you have to deal with them. Like my neighborhood, gunshots were on a regular, murders were on a
Mm-hmm.
regular. So you had to psychologically mature very rapidly when you lived in the hood. And perhaps all these things made us feel uncomfortable with certain conversations and certain experiences. So, but it would be nice to be able to have these conversations, because I think we would dispel a lot of myths. Because I see grown women who don't
Ex-
understand how their menstrual cycle happened. No shame to them, it's
nope.
not their fault, but it's a shame to us as a society that women themselves don't even understand how their menstrual cycle
Yes.
works.
Yes. Yes.
And a shout out to the apps, not that I'm promoting any apps, but a shout out to the apps that are helping our fertility group, because of those apps, they have actually helped women understood, or a subgroup of women understand how their menstrual cycle works, because their
Yeah.
goal is to get pregnant, or their goal is
Right.
not to get pregnant, depending on why they're using the app. Shout out to my responsible women out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as a result of using these apps, it's forced them to have a certain level of understanding. Like, this is my menstrual cycle. This is what's going on in this part of my cycle. This is what's going on in that part. And this one is when I can get pregnant. I have realized that more women have a better understanding of that, which is amazing. So I appreciate that. But overall, I still think as an entire part of the population of the world, we're still undereducated when it comes to our menstrual cycles.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
But I will not be that girl, because, like I said, I am not that chick that will walk around with a bulky pad on and a very light piece of clothing. That won't be me. That's not going to be me. But I'm not going to also shame the girl that feels comfortable doing that. If
Right.
that's you and that's your flow, no pun, that was kind of cute. If that's you and that's your flow, then that's cool with me. I'm not going to shame you, because I don't want you to feel shameful about something that's natural,
It's
right?
absolutely natural and it's part of what happens with the body. It's part
Exactly.
of what happens to the body. As long as you have a uterus still for the most part and you're not past a certain age, it's going to be happening to you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what happens.
But I like that you said that it's natural, and we want girls and boys to understand
Yes.
that it is very much natural, and we do not want the boys to be shaming the girls in yeah, no, elementary sometimes.
Elementary school. Yep, yep,
Elementary
yep, yep.
sometimes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because our girls are having them early, but definitely we don't want the boys to be making fun of the girls when they realize, because we've all had an accident too. I would definitely tell you, I had my accident. I don't remember which best friend it was, but one of my best friends, maybe one of them watching this, held out a girl. I remember I was wearing my absolutely adorable. My mom would be like, I remember this incident. I was wearing I had this dress that I loved when I was a little girl. Oh my gosh, it is still one of my favorite dresses from junior high school era. And it was like the blue dress with the polka dots. Clearly, I still like those type of prints. Blue
Mm-hmm.
dress with the black, with it was a white bottom. The top was blue. The bottom was white. See where I'm going, with
Mm-hmm.
blue polka dots. And I was in Mr. Jandoff's class, rest in peace. I don't know if he's died, but he was old then, so I'm assuming he may not be alive now. But shout out to him, because he was an amazing music teacher. I was a second level clarinet, and I was playing the day. I felt my menstrual cramps, and yes, I'm one of the cramping girls. I felt my menstrual cramps. I already shared my story with fibroids. I didn't have fibroids there, but I had menstrual cramps. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I remember feeling like I didn't know my cycle was going to come that day, because I wasn't at that maturity level yet to really track it. And we weren't really tracking it back in 1990. Don't age me. Years. And I remember getting up from the seat and seeing the blood on my chair. And I was so in. It was those old school chairs, the steel ones that you sat on, that folding chair that we still all use. But anyway, yeah. So I got it wasn't a black one, so it wasn't hiding anything. And the bottom, like I said, of my dress was white with blue polka dots. So it's very obvious that I had basically had an accident that day. And I don't remember which girlfriend it was. Maybe my girlfriend that passed away, maybe her, who helped me covered and clean up the chair. But I was so mortified. I was absolutely mortified. And clearly it's traumatizing, because it's a clear memory, right? I just shared a very
Mm-hmm.
clear memory. So clearly it was
Mm-hmm.
traumatizing. Well, not trauma, because we overuse that word, but I was mortified. And it stayed with me, because I will never forget that day. That was the one day where I was truly embarrassed, because I felt like my personal business was now exposed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want other girls to have to go through that same experience. I want, if somebody has an accident and folks like, oh, it's just your menstrual cycle, not a big deal. Let's help you clean up. That's what I want to see. That's what I
Right.
wanted to happen to me in that
Right.
incident. And that's what I want for our girls today. Our
Right.
preteens and our teens to be like, oh, it's just your menstrual cycle. The dudes included. It's just your menstrual
Right.
cycle, not a big deal. So we take that shame away from it. And it is experiences like that stay with girls, because our society looks at it as such a shameful experience.
Right.
It's not my only accident. It's the only one you would have caught me with, but it wasn't my only accident. There were a couple more that happened in life, Sometimes it's unexpected. Sometimes it shows up
Sometimes
early. Sometimes it's off schedule and things happen, right? Or
also,
sometimes a little, busy and things happen. Things
yep,
happen.
yep,
Products don't exactly stay where they're supposed to stay. They shift a little bit and things happen.
all
It is
sorts of
real.
things,
It
all
is very
sorts of
real.
things.
It is very real. But we need to really destigmatize and have these
Yeah,
conversations regularly. And this is why I'm so happy that we can have these conversations on this platform, because you know what?
yeah.
We believe in destigmatizing, getting things on the table, having these real conversations so people feel empowered about their menstrual cycle and things like that. Normal things.
And it's important. The note, parents of note, it is important to not just educate your daughters, but your sons. Okay, they can be advocates, they can be a support, they could relieve the pressure of a young woman's mind in a heartbeat. They can show themselves to be gentlemanly, they can show themselves to be the kind young men that you are raising them to be. Hint hint, please raise your sons to be kind.
Right.
By just helping, assisting, not teasing, not mocking, covering, protecting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? No, it is not his responsibility, but it's a nice gesture and it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you are teaching your daughters and your sons about this cycle, about life and these parts of life that are very normal for us.
I love that. So by the time they see folks like me and they're a couple having fertility issues, we don't have to educate the guy from scratch. Like, we would want them have, we would, ooh, what was that? We would want them, let's slow down the tongue. We would want them to have some baseline understanding of what's going on in their partner's body. Okay. And there are other topics that are relevant to them. We know what teenage boys are doing in the bedroom. Everybody act like we don't know what they do. We know what they do in the bedroom when they close the bedroom and you don't hear from them for a while. Let's talk about that and that process of them exploring their sexuality and masturbation that they are clearly doing. We need to have conversations freely about these types of topics, because if we don't, they're going to learn from it from sources that are inaccurate and that will try to influence, or even worse, use and abuse them, because
Yes.
there's no one else who's willing to have these conversations with them. So instead
Yes.
of us acting like, oh, he may be playing video games, he's not playing video games all the time. Stop lying. And have a
Off
conversation
with
with
your
him
children.
about what's going on with his body so that he can
Mm-hmm.
be more controlled. Because if we have boys that learn how to control their sexual urges, then we will have men who are able to control their sexual urges. You know where I'm going? Hint, hint. Okay. So it's about having these conversations, dinner table conversations. Let's change these Thanksgiving conversations and be real and stop making people feel like what they are normally going through is shameful. There's nothing shameful about who we are and how we're built and how we're naturally built. It's not that we
Yep.
didn't create the menstrual cycle.
We didn't do
We are
it. We did
naturally
not
built
do
this
it.
way.
Exactly.
Boys and girls, because I'm not going to pretend that it's only boys who are masturbating. Boys and
Right.
girls did not create their maturity into their sexual beings. That is a natural process that happens, but it
Yep.
becomes dysfunctional because people are left to learn about it on their own and are often misguided and become misguided adults. Okay?
Right.
We want mature, healthy, knowledgeable adults. And on that note, we're going to end
Amen.
it here.
Amen.
Okay, okay. If we have not made it very clear, we want to talk about the menstrual cycle. If you want to show your menstrual cycle, hit us up below. Let us know that you one of those girls. And also, just so folks know, it's not just pad and tampons anymore. You can actually buy things, and I'm not promoting a brand, so let's just generically
Period
say
pen.
you can buy menstrual panties.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Menstrual
And
panties, yes,
cups and
and
discs
cups, yes.
and there's a variety. There's a
There
variety.
are options out there. There are options. So it is not, you don't have to stick to the pad. I know I have some groups of women that are die hard for the pad and they will not verge from anything but the pad. And that's okay. But we just want you to know that there are a multitude of options now. You don't have to stick to the pad. If you want to try something different, why not try it? If you've never learned how to do a tampon and you want us to show you how to insert a tampon, sure, let us know. Hit us up below. Not a problem, because we are about educating so we can all feel more comfortable with our beautiful bodies. And so if you
Our
want to find out
blessings.
exactly, and if you want to find out more from us, hit us up below. Let your comments be known. And if you have not subscribed, oh my gosh, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, girlfriend, subscribe, or boyfriend, whoever's watching. I'm not going to discriminate. All are welcome to watch our videos. So if you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us, or link, or whatever. And if you liked what we shared and you have some preteens and teens and you want them to understand a little bit more about these types of topics and you're not quite sure how to bring up the topics, let them watch this video and then have a conversation afterwards. How about that? We lay the platform for you. All you got to do is pick it up, pick it up and have that conversation with your teens and your preteens so that they are part of that informed group. And that being said, if you are an adult and you are trying to get pregnant and you're still trying to understand how in the world does this whole menstrual cycle work for me to get pregnant, don't forget that we have a fertility video that's out there. The link is always at the bottom of each and every one of our videos that we post. Go ahead and click the link and you will get, let me tell you, you will not have any topic related to fertility unturned when you get this course. It ain't for free, but it's for a very affordable price. You have all group multitudes of specialists who are talking about different aspects of getting pregnant. I literally break down the menstrual cycle. We all know learning the menstrual cycle is one of the hardest things in classes. Yeah, we are beautiful.
Yep.
Complex. We are complex, but we're beautiful. And we're very intricate. Oh, I said I was going to use that term. So let me take back that term complex. We are intricately designed. And because of that, it is very sometimes challenging to understand the menstrual cycle. So I literally break it down, y'all, from A to Z. Which hormone, what's going on in the uterus, what's going on in the ovaries. You do not want to miss that video. So go ahead, click the link below, hit up our course, get what you need. And we talk about tests, we talk about where you are with your mental health. We talk about how to be healthy before you get pregnant. We talk about it all, from midwife to mental health professionals to nutritionists to the OBGYN. We laid it out for y'all. So make sure y'all hit up that video. We want to make sure that you know that that video is still on sale. Don't forget about that. And if you have heard all the pearls that Dr. T, as a parent and as a clinician, has dropped, and you try to figure out, where can I follow Dr. Trissa? Dr. Trissa, where can they find you?
Let's see if I remember. TrissaJob.dpt on Instagram.
She made me flip my curl for that. So you can find her at her handle. She just shared it with you. And if you have liked this video and you want to see more of the videos, go ahead and click our other videos. Go through the whole, we talked about a whole lot of topics, y'all. You will be edutained. And if you don't know what that means, you need to be on social media more. Anywho, we love you guys for watching. And as you are wanting to share this video, make sure you hit that angle, hit that arrow so that not angle, hit that arrow so that you can share the video. And if you want to know when we post a new video, you want to watch it in a timely fashion, because you know the earlier you watch the videos, when they post, the more we get it out there, then go ahead and click the bell, click, so that you can get the notifications. I know sometimes they be hating, but at least if you click it, you have the possibility of being notified. If you don't click it, you'll never be notified. All right, that's just how it works. We love you guys. We thank you guys for holding out and watching us and supporting us. And we want to make sure that we see you on the next episode. And in between now and the next episode, hit us up on the gram at ahealthybump.club. And don't forget to rock our gear. So hit our link so that you can get our gear. Okay, tongue. And support us in that way. And also, we have a link, a personal shopping link for Apple. Okay, we're an Apple partner. How about that, y'all? So make sure you click that link. Our personalized link below. Everything you need for us is below. So go ahead and explore it. Look at the content, look at the details. And we love you guys, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.